Welcome back. We are live again. We are an hour early this Thursday for Karen and Justin's Q&A, 30 with Karen and Justin. Got to get the name right. It is because we have someone special on board today from all the way on the other side of the ocean, which is kind of cool, closer to the Olympics, actually interrupting my viewing of the Hockey Canada game today, just so you know. All
Oh,
right. So you push this to
appreciate it.
12 noon. Hockey Canada is playing right now. You should feel very special. We're
I
joined
know,
today
I
by
know how important it is. Yeah.
Listen, it is what it is. But we have a returning guest, Natasha. Natasha Bomba is founder of DoBetter.love, and she's back because guess what? This weekend is Valentine's Day, so we thought we'd bring back some love. And DoBetter.love is a platform focused on creating meaningful, lasting relationships. And Dr. Mairi Macleod, evolutionary biologist. I love that. And
Mhm.
founder of Dating Evolved. So we're taking love to a very deep scientific level here, who uses science-backed insights to help people build their relationships, especially women over 50 looking for quality partners, which I believe is probably the hardest demographic as far as I'm concerned, right?
It can be, but actually, we have a lot of advantages as older women in the
I'm sure
dating
you
world.
do. I love that. So today we're diving into love, attraction, and how to create real connection in the modern world, with all different age groups, of course. Thank you guys for coming on again today, Natasha, for returning, of course. Valentine's Day can bring up a lot of emotions because partners lost and loved and all these different things that come from these special events like Valentine's Day. What's one reframe you'd offer anyone who feels sort of behind in the love game right now? And I'll leave it to you guys to decide who answers that.
You want to go first? Yeah. Well, I think you don't have to worry about being behind in love. You know, it's never too late, as I found with many clients. It certainly doesn't matter how old you are.
Mm,
Um, but in terms of reframing, you know, if you feel as if it's not going well for you, you know, I think it might be a time to change what it is you're prioritizing, you know,
sure.
what you're actually looking for. Because I think quite often people are looking for the wrong things, maybe the sort of nice to haves, as opposed to the things they actually need for a good relationship.
Yes.
And, you know, this is going to vary for everybody, but I would suggest that what you need is somebody that's got your back, you know, someone with a high level of agreeableness, someone
Mm.
who's willing to meet your needs, rather than someone who's got the exciting things like the yacht part and the marina down the road or, you know,
Who
flash
needs a
car.
yacht?
Nice,
Forget
nice.
it. Let's be honest.
It's not going to keep you warm on a cold winter's night, is it?
No, it's not.
Um,
No.
so I think, you know, think about what you're really looking for and what's
Mm,
really important. And I suppose the other thing is getting out there and being proactive. You know, I find
mm,
with my clients, the ones who are successful in finding, you know, the love of their lives, they're the ones that are approaching it with a positive mindset. They're getting out there, they're meeting people in situations where, you know, they can potentially meet like-minded people, online as well. But you know, you want to sort of just be proactive and friendly and have a positive mindset. And I think that's the
mm,
first way to
And
go.
I think too, things have shifted a little bit, right? It's great. I've seen like more local events for Galentine's, and it's not,
cute.
it's like I was single for quite a long time. This is my first Valentine's coming up in I don't know how long that I get to celebrate, so that's cool. Um, but just either hanging out with people who do love you. Everybody's got some people who care
Mm,
about you, and those people are important too. And also just spending more time of looking at ourselves, growing ourselves, loving on ourselves, right? It sounds a little cheesy, but if it's really hard to love others and find that person and give out when you're sort of still, maybe struggling to love yourself as you are. So, doing some you time is okay, and it's great, and it's a nice feeling to treat yourself at the end of the day.
you know
I, I
what?
would, I,
Go
I
ahead.
would definitely, sorry. I would
Go ahead.
definitely agree with, you know, boosting your own kind of social relationships. Pay attention to your friendships. They're so,
Mm,
Mhm.
so important. You know, they're important anyway in life. They're the number one thing that is going to determine your longevity and health, as well as your emotional well-being. Um, but if you have a good friendship network, it's going to put you in so much better position to find a good partner because
mm,
you know, it's going to help your self-esteem. You know that you've got emotional support to back you up. You're not going to just go for the first person that comes along because they make you not lonely anymore. You know, if you've got a good basis of social support, then that's going to be a really healthy place to approach dating from.
I wonder how, I mean, part of the process that makes it so difficult is the approach, is the initial connection to meet someone. And it's really funny, and I'm not, you know, I'm not tooting my own horn here because I'm married, so I don't go out looking for love or anything like that. I have my sweetheart sitting upstairs and we love each other dearly. But in the gym last night, I just walked up to this girl who was doing this weight that was super heavy, and I was like that's amazing. And after she finished her set, I just casually walked over and I gave her a fist bump and I said, "You are strong." That's all. And she thought I was a weirdo at first, and then I said that, and her face lit up, like, and I was like, I just saw, and I walked away. Like I
Well,
didn't.
we know the truth about your weirdo side, right? No, just
I'm a total
joking.
weirdo. Yeah, listen, I'm a freak in a lot of ways. Let's just be honest. No,
Yeah.
but I just like it was just such a nice thing to do, and I almost feel like starting with little baby steps like that might help people just continue to grow. Like I've walked up to people in the gym and say, "Wow, those are great shoes." Or whatever, like, you know, I've walked up to guys and be like, how do you lift that weight? Like, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
who, like, and I feel like finding little mini connections like that in order to break the ice of actually connecting with other human beings in a world where we're so this all
Yeah.
the time sometimes makes a difference.
I think like it really relates to, I don't know, my joy of getting a little bit older. I've
Mm.
never had that like I call it level 50 instead of 50 years old. I
I
like
love that. I love that. We're
yeah.
gamifying life.
Yeah. And you know, I'm that confidence, like it's the same confidence, it's the same kind of self-care, self-esteem, everything that you build up. And I talk to people all over the place all the time, to your point. Love those shoes, love that bag, ladies and their nails or something like that. I
Mm.
don't know if maybe the challenge is sometimes, well, you did it well, male to female. Sometimes that's a little bit more challenging in that safe space. But um, yeah, like I've gotten older and I'm more confident and I just kind of talk to everybody because I don't worry about what their response is. And generally the response is quite nice. They're happy to have that little conversation,
Sure.
a 2 seconds thing, or you just
I find, well, when someone's wearing something flashy or interesting,
yeah.
they're not wearing it to stand in a corner and not be noticed, right?
Mm.
So for to have someone genuinely walk up and go, "Hey man, great jacket."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like they're like, "Wow, you know, I wore this to get the compliments," right? In a way, maybe they don't want the compliments, but they wore it to get noticed,
Right.
right? So I find that that's just a little bit of an icebreaker. Anyway, I'm not here to
No, it's a
teach
good
anybody
one.
anything.
And if they're not happy with it, they can go on an app like mine
Yeah, I
and
guess.
create
Yeah.
a profile, right?
Yeah.
But absolutely, we have to get a little bit more confident, I think, in real life as well, whether it's, that first moment or the first date, right? Like just
We have
who
this
are is okay.
there's
Yeah.
a filter. There's like an Instagram filter on life right now, right?
Mhm.
So everyone has this idea of what this should look like or what it should be. So what does doing better in love actually look like as opposed to what it seems like on the internet?
I think if people are thinking in terms of Instagram, they're probably thinking of someone that's going to make their friends envious. You know, if you're
Mm,
thinking along those lines, though, I would suggest you're probably not, you're probably on the wrong track, really.
mm,
We're sort of worrying about whether someone is impressive looking as a boyfriend is not going to make you happy. Um, yeah, I think it's around, finding the right kind of person, the person that's got the qualities you need. And not worrying too much about the initial chemistry. You know, we tend to
mm,
get really hung up on the chemistry. It's a lovely feeling, when you've got the butterflies in your stomach and all that, and you
mm,
get somebody. But that feeling is neither necessary nor sufficient to tell you that this is going to be a good person to be with. In
mhm,
fact, sometimes it indicates exactly the opposite.
mm,
I've found a few times in the past myself. Um, I mean, what I have found personally works and works for my clients is more of a sort of slow burn approach, where you find somebody that you get on with, you find a connection with, especially an emotional connection. And what the research shows us is that, if you get to know somebody and you like them, over time, you gradually begin to find them more and more physically attractive,
Hmm.
desire them. So that chemistry sort of builds up and it becomes much more powerful than that just flash in the pan thing at the beginning that might fizzle out. And
Trump Melania comes to mind. I don't know, just saying that.
Oh
I
no.
don't even want to go there.
Sorry, I apologize. I just lost half our audience. I apologize. Sorry, I
Okay,
apologize.
it's your recording.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think also one of the research pieces I looked up was also, about the value in looking at values as that
Mm,
foundation part for your relationship, right? And that just, the research has shown in that creates less friction, less
mm,
arguments. You sort of have that understanding. That's sort of where I've been at like lately. So my thing started just a few months ago,
mm.
and I just find, wow, it's easier for us in a lot of those things and a lot of the decision making because we have that same um, insight, that same way of thinking. We're not always challenged on, oh, this is the way I've done it all my life. This is the way you've done it all your life, etc. Especially as mature users, that was a big fear for me is how is that going to work for me meeting someone later in life where I
Sure.
sort of have an established lifestyle and he's probably got his own too. Like, how could I ever make that work? But coming together on the same values has really made it a lot easier. And to Mary's point, like, it wasn't all the hot and heavy right from the beginning, right? It is definitely more of a slow burn, but it's getting more and more exciting as opposed to like this big fire at the beginning that's sort of like,
That peters out. Yeah.
yeah. So
It's so interesting you talk about values because when I hire people, they come to us to interview and they also decide if they want to work here. Um, but part of that process is me providing them with a list of our core values as a team,
hmm
right? And we have defined those core values to a T where it's like, things like, um, I don't even think off the top of my head. The last one is just dance, literally just dance. I don't care. Like at the end of the day, we're here to have fun. We're here
Yeah,
for one time only. And, business is serious and all the things that we put for business and those values are important, but we're also human beings. And I'm a goof. And if you can't tolerate that stuff, you're just not going to fit well on this team anyway. So
right,
if I lay that out front for people that are looking to work for me that are considering, our positions, they can make a decision for themselves as to whether or not this is going to be a
right,
great fit. And I
right,
feel like that's a very similar connection there.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
really like that about Natasha's site. You know, the fact that you're matching, you're putting together people on values, uh,
mm,
compared with other, dating apps that where the algorithm, all they've got to go on is the information you give them, basically. And if
right.
the information they're asking for is things like height and, income and location and what films you like and that kind of stuff, what on earth is that telling you about your compatibility,
hmm
Mm,
I mean, I think it's impossible for anyone completely to match other people. You have to meet, and again, that's a great thing about Natasha's site because that you're getting people right into that, and I love that it involves just cutting out all the you know the sort of messaging back and forth and potentially wasting people's time, and
mm,
so that you're getting people to meet because what's important is seeing that people are willing to invest in looking for a relationship. If you're going to go out and spend money on a date and meet somebody and be open to finding out about them, then that kind of suggests you're actually serious about finding a relationship.
Right.
Whereas, as we all know, a lot of people on dating apps in general aren't necessarily looking for that.
so I hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lucky you, Justin.
Yeah, I know. Literally, I'm counting my lucky stars at the moment because my life couldn't have worked out any better within that framework, honestly. Like
Yeah.
I can't tell you she's probably listening upstairs right now, but I can't
Yeah.
tell you, honestly, I'm doing this for brownie points, but I can't tell you how wonderful it is to have a partner that, this is a bit of gloaty, but I apologize, that supports me in every stupid thing that I do, right? And again, like there's no reason for her to even be with me, to your point. It wasn't hot and heavy at the beginning. We had a nice night the first night, but it took a long time and there was a lot of road bumps in the way. that finally ended up to where we're at today. So it's very interesting to see this from the outside looking in. And now that we're sort of the age, so for people over 50, what is the biggest mindset shift that changes everything when it comes to dating at this point? Because I feel like, as I said at the beginning, like this seems to be one of the more difficult. I think people lose their self-esteem as they get older. I think that's a major piece, right? And
Yeah.
like especially women. I mean, they're crazy worried about their look as a younger people, but as they get older, it gets worse, right? So, what is it that has changed with regards to dating over 50?
Yeah, I think especially women, as you say, but men probably as well. It's such a different world of dating
Mm.
nowadays compared to back when I was in my 20s or whatever. In fact, we didn't even date to them. We just like, started snogging someone at a party and that was
My
it
wife.
started. Didn't even know what dating was really. Um, but yeah, I mean, one thing is a lot of women in particular, as you say, they come to dating at this time thinking, oh, it's going to be so hard to find somebody and no one's going to be interested in me.
Mm.
But we actually have a lot of advantages as older women. We don't have that crazy biological clock ticking away in the background, making us feel desperate to find, if we're wanting to have kids, for example, to
Right,
find someone to have
right,
kids with. Um, we we're sort of past the time for thinking about reproduction generally. So we're not looking for somebody to be a good genetic father. So we're not
right.
looking for genetic traits. And there's actually some evidence that, you know, even from a hormonal point of view, we're better set up to actually go for nice guys as opposed to bad boys,
Oh.
which could be good in
So
the long.
nice guys don't always finish last with older women. I like this. I
Exactly.
like this.
Exactly. And I think with younger women who, high estrogen levels, they tend to be more attracted to sort of masculine men, masculine traits and so on that might be good in terms of being competitive and being able to bring in the resources to,
Mm,
after kids and so on. And that would have evolved back in the Stone Age, when, what we actually needed were, big beefy guys to protect us from other
sure.
guys and to get resources for us.
Mm,
But, once we're past that stage of life, we don't need that. So we can kind of afford to go for more agreeable guys that are higher in the personality factor agreeableness, which means they've got more empathy, they're more sort of, other oriented, and that's going to be good in the long term for a
more
relationship.
emotionally stable.
Yeah. And also, women who are older, they tend to be much more independent. If you've been single for
Sure.
a while, you're
Hmm.
financially independent, you've got your own stuff, you can pick and choose and take your time. If you get into a relationship with somebody and it doesn't work, well, you can move on and find somebody that is more suitable for you. It's not a case of needing someone to be there because you need to depend on them in some way. Um, I think we're a lot more independent and can, you know, choose
You can
basically.
focus on the fun at that point and
Well,
The
exactly
fun, and
that.
and I think what's
we're talking
interesting
about the
is
practicals. Yeah.
I've often my wife and I have joked like, well, if I pass away or if whatever, you can go ahead and go date and marry, whatever. And we've discussed like little things like who would it be? What would the age? What would the things? And in my head, I'm like, at the end of the day, I don't, and no disrespect to younger women, but like I don't have the time for the baggage that a lot of younger women carry. I'm saying that out loud. I don't know if that's real or not, but like I just get a sense that there's a lot more going on, and I prefer the maturity of my wife's age, right? So, and I just prefer the calmness and the steady state of it in a way that comes from that and the experience. Let's
Mm.
call it that. Like there's an experience to know what they want and how they want it. And I think that there's something to be said for that too. I don't know. Maybe I'm just spouting shit
I
out of my
mean,
mouth here.
conversely, both Mary and I are dating younger guys. So that's interesting. My reasoning a little bit was like I found just people in that younger group a little bit more self-aware,
Right.
emotionally available, etc. So that's
Mm,
working well for me. I mean, just going back to some of the shifts as well that people made, I had a hard time for quite a while being single with all my friends being matched up
mm,
and couldn't quite find, hey, why can't somebody just match me with a friend, right?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes that's the challenge for dating a little bit as you mature. You don't have like a lot of single friends in the groups that you know. There might be a few, but not too many. And then people have heard so many terrible things about apps and the digital world
Mm.
that they're like, I'm not doing that either. I'm just going to stay single. But I bring the hope and the sparkle back. I'm really trying to say, no,
It's
we can do better, right?
Yeah, it's like the movie we've all seen with all the friends and the one single person in the friend group, and they're looking for love. We've seen that
The
movie
Hallmark
before,
movie.
right? It's
Yeah.
great. No, I love it. And so from the standpoint of like being ready,
hmm
right? Because maybe you're single for a while and you're comfortable in that zone. From a standpoint of being ready, how do you know if you're truly ready for that relationship, or like maybe just tired of being alone, or like what does that sort of look like?
One motivates the other a little bit at some point. I don't know if I thought of that question. I was like, well, I certainly was there. I think for me though, I did do some self reflection, some self growth, and it was more of, I had a lot of dating in the past, so I wasn't coming from like a divorce or a long-term
Mm,
relationship, and just came to the realization that I needed some personal growth because I was continuously attracted to the wrong people. Those that,
mm,
were, and I
interesting.
think that is something like in talking to others now, I see those same patterns of like, who are we attracted to? Oh,
Sure.
that's kind of not why it's not working. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It just meant that I was triggered into things that were not healthy and therefore bound to fail.
So there's at that point there's one common denominator for you to go, maybe it's not them, maybe it is me, and
Right.
not in a negative way, but in a way where you can find that growth pattern and find the support to be able to grow through that, to find the path forward, right?
I think, Mary, I was reading one of your articles and you said consciously evolved my preferences. I loved that. That's what I had to do. I had to
Absolutely.
consciously
I
evolve
love that.
where I was going and what I wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, we have I've chosen previous partners using my gut instincts, and they don't work very well because our gut instincts, as I said, they evolved back in the Stone Age when
Sure.
we need different things from relationships. So the things that make us attracted to people and desire them are not necessarily things that are going to make us happy.
Right.
Natural selection and evolution don't care about happiness; they care about, the currency is reproduction and survival.
Right.
So yeah, my contention is that we need to consciously evolve and understand what's going to make us happy, understand our own needs in a relationship. I have lots of women who come to me, first of all, saying, I always attract narcissists, or I always attract, the wrong kind of guys. And I'm thinking, no, you're open to those guys.
Yeah, you
You can
choose.
understand the signals that they're giving out, and
Right.
that's why I run my program so that I can actually teach women about the things to look out for, things that indicate that someone might have dark triad qualities, which are very scary as they sound. And also sort of make sure that someone has a secure attachment style as well, because
Sure.
that's what will give you a secure relationship.
It's another interesting parallel between like this love and dating thing and sort of the business world of saying, like, one of the things that we've learned when we started building a marketing program for our real estate business was, the clients that you're attracting, the people that you're getting as clients are there because that's who you're attracting to you. And if you're having difficulty attracting or working with these people, it's because that's the messaging that you're putting out there, and those are the people that you're drawing in. So it's like nearly identical. Like we could take a marketing, like think about love from a marketing perspective. It's the same thing. Like you are going to get who you put out there for.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's
I love
exactly
that
that.
idea.
It's about personal branding, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. It's so funny, and just other things in the branding that we just can't talk about on live. What should someone stop tolerating in dating, even if it means staying single a little longer? What are we cutting out at this point? Like no tolerance for that.
Someone that's not investing, someone that's not
Okay.
actually putting in the effort. If they're just expecting you to drop everything when they say, let's meet up, but
Right.
not actually taking the time to find out what makes you tick, what you need. You really want to be with someone that's got your back and is interested in you specifically. You know, I mean, when I first met my husband, I remember he was reading all the articles I'd written because I was working as a freelance journalist then, writing about human behavior, and he took out a subscription to New Scientist just so that he could read my articles, you know. And it's like
Oh
he
my
was
gosh,
interested
that's
in me,
adorable.
That's
you
so
know, interested
nice.
in me specifically, which is
Yeah.
the really important point. You know, if you want somebody that's actually looking for a serious relationship, you want someone that sort of indicates that they like you specifically, and you know, you need to do the same back kind of thing if you want to make that impression.
And as you age and as things get along, what role does self-trust play in choosing the right partner? So like, you're getting obviously a little bit older. You've been through whatever you've been through. Maybe you've been burned before. I don't know what role does self-trust play in that? And how much, like, can you trust yourself to make the right decision in some of those cases? That's interesting.
If you've learned what you need. I think, well, as we get older, hopefully we get a bit wiser. You know, we have experience. We've been around the block a few times
Mm,
and know what works and what doesn't work. Um, you know, I remember being in relationships that I knew weren't working, but I thought, you know, how can I get this person out of my system?
right.
They're always going to be important to me. And then when the relationship finally was over, they ceased to be important to me.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, and it happened every time. You know, I knew how it worked, and so then, kind of the last time I was in an unsuitable relationship, I realized, right, I've got to knock this on the head. This is an opportunity cost. I'm using up my emotional energy on this person, and I'm not open to meeting someone else. So
Mm.
I got the courage from that to end that situation. And then not long after, um, I met Rob, who's now my lovely husband.
Hello,
So
Rob. We
I
like
think
Rob. All right, I'm good
he's
with
good.
it.
I think
Um,
for me too, it like being sort of more in the growth stage myself, like I'm still discovering, I'm still in there. This is
mhm,
where that group of people around you is still really important, right? I
sure.
have those few people that I'm accountable to that I'll talk things out and be like, is this me? Is this reasonable? Is this my baggage kicking in? Or is this something that, he and I should have a talk about or things like that. So yeah, I lean on that a little bit more because I don't actually completely still trust myself. I'm still in that growth phase of trying to.
Do you ever bring in outside help, like a friend or a family member, to sort of be that a little bit of a guiding force? Is that a thing that people do?
I think that's a good idea. I think that there are times when to listen to your friends and times maybe not. So
Right,
if you're seeing somebody and you really, really like them, and your friends are saying, "Oh, he's not good enough for you. He's
right,
not doesn't earn enough, or he doesn't have a, you know, he he's not good looking enough or something." Well, don't worry about that stuff
right.
because you know whether this
Superficial. That's
yeah,
bullshit.
but if they're saying, there's something a bit dodgy about this guy,
Right.
um, then that might be a time to listen because the thing that happens at the beginning, especially if you're really into somebody, it starts messing with our brain neurotransmitters. You know, your dopamine starts surging and your endorphins kick in and make you feel
And we
attached to
love, that's the
the person.
butterflies, right? That's the feeling.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, then there's the oxytocin stuff going on, the bonding hormone.
Mm,
Um, but also it messes with our brain function. You know, our prefrontal cortexes get quietened down so that we can't actually figure out what the other person is up to quite as well. And also our amygdala, you know, doesn't function so well. That's the thing that kind of detects risk and you know fear
So
things.
decision making goes down the
So
tubes at that point.
decision making. So basically, love can
Yeah.
really be blind. You know, that love is blind
Yeah.
thing can be
Those
true.
rose-colored glasses and love is
Exactly.
blind.
So if you're with somebody and they're a little bit on the dodgy side, you know, maybe they've got some narcissistic tendencies or whatever, and they're going to
Mm,
turn out to be great. You might not be able to see that, but your friends probably can. So
mm,
if they're saying, not sure about this guy, there's something not quite right about him,
mm.
just have the, you know, antennae sort of switched on there and look out for things.
Great.
So let's shift a little bit because we are Valentine's weekend coming up. It's a pretty big weekend for love. For Cupid, he's out there doing his thing. What advice would you give this weekend to anyone who wants love, but also a little bit of peace and not stress.
Oh,
Oh, I've
Yeah.
go and have, like if you don't have something planned, maybe plan something if that's important to you, if this is important to you, so hit an event, uh, find a different way to get that excitement and energy and something into your life. And possibly, is there other people, single people there, or, like the Galentine's thing or something like it is. If you can't put so much pressure on yourself to be like, it's Valentine's, I need to do something right now.
mm,
It's just not the way life goes.
I think a good thing to do is make a promise to yourself.
Mm.
Promise yourself, I'm going to change things around and I ain't going to be in this position next year for next Valentine's Day. So join my program, learn the stuff. Um, get yourself out there, figure out what it is you really need, and look out for the things you need as opposed to the things you want. You have to differentiate between those things. So the wants are the nice to haves that you could potentially compromise on. You don't really need to have someone that's 6'4",
mm.
for example, and if you go chasing them, you're in the competition with every other woman. Let's face
Right. Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
And there are lots of things that could come into that category. What those things are will depend on the person themselves.
Okay, I'm
Um,
gonna make another parallel. Go ahead, keep going first. First.
well, I was just going to say the things you need are the things that are deal breakers for a
Right.
good, lasting relationship. Somebody
So again, let's parallel this to, and I hate to do this, but I love it at the same time. I love anecdotes like this. When you're looking for a house, you have the list, right? And then over time, as you see these houses, you start really dialing in the list to the things that are really truly non-negotiables for you. And there's things that you're like, you know what, that's not a big deal. I don't mind. Or if it's there, great. But if it's not, I'm not too worried about it. It really has a similar feel, like you said, like everyone's looking for the 6'4", whatever, tall, dark, and handsome, whatever you want to call it. Um, but you find someone that's not that, but has all these other qualities that you're like, wow, like
Yeah,
you're gonna really throw him out the window because he's not 6'4". I mean, what?
exactly. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
we can't expect to get everything from one person as well.
right.
A lot of people are, they've got this massive list and they think, well, I deserve all these things. But you don't have to have someone that shares all your hobbies. If they don't go skiing like you do, you can find someone else to go skiing with.
Mm,
Right.
But the important thing is who's going to be there for you when the shit
sure.
hits the fan? Are you going to have support? Are you going to feel secure in your relationship so that then you can take on the world? If you've got a good
I
relationship,
love
that gives
that.
you so much else. It gives you energy and emotion to give to everybody else and to put into challenges that life throws at you. And
Mm.
you can do so much more.
And I just would also challenge people a little bit to look at that list itself differently. Like, what we're talking about, skiing and so forth. What is that really, right? Is that a self-care element to you? Is that somebody who is spontaneous and so forth? So, I did the exercise before I built my site with it built in, but there's lots of things that'll help you just discover what your actual values are, right?
Mm,
So is it financial responsibility? Is it, that emotional maturity that you're looking for? And that could still come out defined slightly differently between the two people, but at the core, it's still the same values, right? So,
sure.
what we are actually looking for is that active person who's into self-care or so forth, or maybe it's the self-care of going to the spa and the pedicures and taking care of one's body. Like there's a lot of different definitions that can be in there. And so I just challenge people to look a little deeper than those kind of um,
Well,
surface
and
level attributes.
that makes perfect sense because in a lot of ways in my brain, when I hear you guys talk about these things very clinically and scientifically in a way, I also have this part of the back of my brain that says, can love really be found on a list? Like, is it really that like clinical in a way? And I don't want to like dumb it down to that, but there's some non-negotiables, but then love is just love in a way, right? I don't know. Am I wrong there?
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think it comes down to the list. I think the list, the values is really the starting point of things.
Sure.
and
Mm.
then you grow together and you have lives together and you have experiences together that change things along the way as well, and expand on love. Mary, maybe you have more scientific
Asking the
definitions of
Well,
it than
scientist,
my
right?
experience, but
I
yeah.
think you can try doing all the matching you like, but the people themselves have to be able to make a connection in the end.
Right.
Mm,
And I think love really comes down to unique mate value. So what I mean by that is, there's consensual mate value, which is the stuff we all agree on. We all know that, I don't know, Gerard Butler or Scarlett Johansson, they have high mate value,
She went
consensual.
right to Gerard Butler. We know where she stands. Okay. What does
He's a
Rob look
Scottish,
like? Can
he's
we
a
see a
Scottish
picture of
lad.
Rob?
He comes from down the road from me. Um, but what's really important for actually making a loving connection is your uniqueness.
Right.
It's the things that your quirks that actually set you apart from other people. Some
Interesting.
people will be put off by these unique quirks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The people that are really into them, they'll be really into you. And that grows over time, obviously, as you get to know somebody.
Mm.
So then, as you make a connection, you like each other's quirkiness. Um, that sort of develops over time, and you know that you can't replace that person because there's nobody else that's quite like that.
From,
Um,
from a scientific perspective, that makes perfect sense. That makes more sense to me, where it's like it's the acceptance of who you are. One of the things that I struggle with is listening to this conversation and go, well, we don't have to change ourselves to be loved by someone else. We shouldn't have to, right? We should have to just be ourselves and be loved and accepted as who we are, which is a message for the world. Let's be honest, right? Like, let's just say that the world needs to be more accepting of each other. So one last thing, and then we'll move into another quick discussion about your app. But what's one thing that's often most misunderstood about the opposite sex, and how can we navigate that when we're dating? So men misunderstand women in what way? Women misunderstand men in what way? And how do we figure that out? There's got to be something fun that we can talk about here, I'm sure.
I don't know. There's so many things. Like I just think, we gotta treat everybody as an individual at the end of the day. We've got that baggage and those kind of like red flags, but there's so much stuff that's like everybody's like this and everybody's like that. And it's just you gotta let that go sometimes so that you can bring the curiosity back. Like I think we've lost our curiosity with the digital world, and you can look them up and find out information and all kinds of things before we even get there to find
Isn't
those.
that funny, eh? We can vet our people.
Yeah. Um,
yeah, I think for sort of my clients, women over 50, there's often this presumption that men are looking for young women of a certain physique. And if you're not
Okay, I
that,
just
then
blew that out of the water a few minutes ago. So there you go. Just
yeah,
so you know.
you're going you're going to have trouble. But you know that may be true to some extent on first meeting, but it
Mm,
really is the unique quirks that come into
right.
some proper connection. And also, what I point out to women is that the men who are really focused on the young babes kind of thing, especially if they're older themselves, they're probably not looking for a long-term relationship. Somebody that wants a happy long-term relationship with someone they're compatible with will not be focusing on those things. They might notice them in the first place, but you know, ultimately it's going to be personality and your own unique features that are going to determine whether you can have a good relationship. So don't blandify yourself, own your quirks is
Own
what
your
I
quirks. I love
I
that. That's
I
the
have a
headline
little
for the
one.
thing.
I have a little story I can tell you. So just the other day, I've been hearing a lot about, and Mary, you can tell me if it's true because it's like, TikTok research or something. But as somebody gets really comfortable with another and they feel more and more safe, especially women, we tend to get into this little more childlike mode and more fun and just you're happy when you're a kid, right? Like it's your dance value, Justin, all those things. So actually, I'm not a morning person. I'm grumpy and just like, "Oh, help me in the morning, please." The other day, I woke up with a lot of energy and threw on music on Spotify and started dancing around the house, and my guy was here, and I just started like doing this whole dance in front of him, like, and he was still half asleep in bed too, and we just started laughing at how silly I was, and he texted me later and he was like, that really gave me a special moment this morning, like so nice to see you
That's
like
adorable.
that. And just like, I think in his head it implanted a little goofy side of me that he really liked.
Well,
And
and there's also,
thank
this
you
is a
for
newer
that.
relationship, so you're now pulling back the curtain a little further as you go along, right? And starting
Yeah,
to open that curtain to see a little more of what goes on in that little brain of yours.
right, exactly,
I love
exactly.
it. That's so cool.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that as well. If in doubt, dance, I suppose,
that's it. Just dance. I love it. This is so
It
good.
doesn't
Yeah.
have to be pretty.
No, for sure. So let's get into really quickly because we're pushing up against that 30-minute time frame. But DoBetter.love,
Yeah,
you guys are working together to build this now. Like there's a competitive. I understand completely why you got a scientist and a love person, like who just like loves love, coming together to make this work. And let's talk about what that means and how that will make the app better.
right. Yeah, so, when I started building the app, I just wanted really proper insights on things, not just me out there with my 2 cents. So I had asked Mary, I reached out to her and kind of got some insights.
Did
If
you know each other prior to this, out of curiosity?
no,
How did we, was it on LinkedIn we met? I can't remember now.
LinkedIn, or no, it was maybe something you'd posted, or I think it was an article. It was an
Very
article
cool.
that I
Very
read,
cool. I
and
like
I thought
that.
this is great. I love what she's saying, so I'm going to reach out. And so right now, what we've done is Mary, it was very kind to give me insights. We do a profile review for people when they actually build their profile to make sure that, like, are we hitting the right and good things? Are you representing yourself, your best self on there, right? We don't want any, unhappy pictures, or like
Hmm.
people can get a little grumpy in their bios themselves. So Mary has kindly given me insights on that side of things, and that's the very nice structured feedback I give people if they create their profile. And then moving forward, if you remember, we talked about there's going to be feedback and even coaching within the app itself available to people, and that's where Mary will come in again and provide
Okay.
resources and sessions, and we can you know um, organize and manage that for people. So we don't, with DoBetter.love, it's not like relationships are a bit bigger than just like the meeting time, right? Like it's
Yes.
not just about the match, it's about the relationship. And I really want to see people successful at this. So it's a bigger view
Yeah,
of
it's important that people know what it is they need and should be looking for themselves, for sure.
Relationships take effort. And the start is the start. And getting that, I get that we need to get the relationship first,
yeah.
Mm.
but the maintenance ongoing is a struggle sometimes. I mean, we as you said, we get to know each other, and yes, we do grow closer, but there's also things that can push us away, as I'm sure some of us have experienced in the past. And so I love the idea of bringing that scientific mindset in. I mean, how cool would it be to be like, hey, my wife just said this to me, and have someone in my little ear going, this is the probably the better response for that. You don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's what
I feel like you've
ChatGPT is
been
for.
there once or twice. Yeah.
No, so that's really cool. And you're also you're going to be featured at a festival in Hamilton coming up
Yeah,
on the 21st of February.
right.
I Heart Beer,
I
which
heart
is an
beer.
I didn't know that was a festival until like we started talking. So this is cool. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing there.
I Heart Beer, it's pretty fun. I connected in with them same way, sort of thing, just reaching out there. And they do the beer festival. It's beer and cider and all that good stuff, and food and beer pong and arcade games and DJ music and all that. So it's just a really great time, especially in the winter when there's like not many festivals going on. This is an
Right.
indoor event. And we'll be doing Hamilton. We might do a few other venues in the future, but we'll just be connecting people because, again, I want people to be successful. So we're going to give some glow bracelets out, let singles try to find each other
Oh,
at the
that's cool.
event. And if
Okay.
you don't find your person, you can sign up, create a profile, and get on to DoBetter.love for your future match.
So you're taking it on the road. I love it because you're going analog. That's cool.
Yeah, well, I just really, like I said, I want people to be successful at it. Why not? We have fun. People are looking to have that like opportunity to meet, and this makes it a little easier
I
for
was
them.
just going to say, what a perfect venue to have that scenario happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And okay, so my origin story with my wife is meeting at a bar. Let's be honest. Okay, we met
Yeah.
at a bar, and it's actually a great story. I'm going to tell it right now. No judgment here. Okay, we're only sitting here in a room together. Nobody else is watching.
Everybody else is watching.
I went with a friend on a night out, and he asked me to be his wingman, and I was not wanting to go out. I go out begrudgingly. I'm sitting on a stool at the bar and I get a tap on the shoulder and I turn around and my future wife is standing there and she says, "You're sitting in my chair."
Oh.
And I said, "You have an accent." She's English, right? And she said, "No, you have an accent." I swear to God, those are our
So
first
she was
words.
sassy and fun from the beginning. There you
And I
go.
was like, yes, yes,
The
please.
gauntlet was
More
laid
of
down.
that, please. And the rest is history.
Well, there you go. There's an approach. You just sit on other people's chairs and hope for the one to show up.
There you go. And it was completely accidental. So that's what I love the most about it. Now, I know this has been amazing. I love the chat. Any final words of love before the weekend?
Can I tell people about Dating Evolved?
You can, absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Okay. Well, as we said at the beginning, I run a program for women over 50 to help them find great partners. We have a lovely community. So we have an online course to help people, know what to look for and all the practicalities around it and all the science. And then we have a nice community that we meet together a few times a month online, and we also have a community feed to keep everybody accountable and motivated, because I think it's really, really important as you're going through this experience to have others that are going through the same and can relate to what you're doing and keep you going so that you don't get.
That's the same with anything you do, though. I really do feel like
Yes,
whether you're
yes,
working or working out or losing weight or whatever you're doing, it all kind of having a group together, working along the same and sharing your successes as well as your failures,
yes.
is,
It makes so
I
much
mean,
difference. It
and
really,
it's
really.
okay to fail, isn't it? Right? I
Okay to
mean,
Yeah,
fail.
yeah.
I don't believe in failures. I was just like, that's just a learning
It's a
opportunity.
learning
You know?
opportunity.
perfect.
Yeah.
Happy
It's
accidents.
our learning
And then
mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Well, you
we
got to fail
also
forward.
I also run some free master classes all about different aspects of dating. So if anyone wants to come along to one of those, just come to datingevolve.com and
Amazing.
find out about it.
So Andrea will put all of that down below. So somewhere here in the chat, somewhere will be the all of those links for everyone to go and view, and the app will be there, and all the information relating to that. Maybe we'll even throw in some information about I Heart Beer if you're in the
There you go.
local
Yeah,
area
yeah. There we
and
go.
you want to go grab a ticket for that.
Yeah,
Sounds like a
say
fun
hi to
time.
us on the
Yeah,
weekend. And
that'd
yeah,
be
I
cool.
just want to like shout out to everybody about the hopeful part of being of love. It's interesting, all three of us have, had different approaches to wherever we're at right now. And it can happen at any time
The
and
message of the day
stay
is one
positive.
size does not fit all.
Yeah.
Right? We're all a little different and we're all a little quirky, but we love our quirks and we should love each other's quirks when we come into these relationships. So
Yeah.
thank you
And it's
guys
never
for
too
having
late.
such a wonderful chat. Yeah.
It's
Thank you
never
for
too
having,
late.
this
Thank
has been
you.
great. Have a wonderful day and we will talk soon. You guys don't go anywhere. I'm going to say something to you after we're done. But thanks for everyone for watching. This has been a really cool podcast today. And we'll talk to you on the next one. Talk to you soon. Bye.